there, YouTube. Bed Bath and Bongs here. Good morning. It's a beautiful Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas, everybody. I just wanted to do some commentary for the day. Let you know how I feel. Looks like Trump did some more pardons. Not as bad as yesterday. At least they're not like hardcore child murderers. You know, they're not just mercenaries who decide to start blasting people in a public place. He pardoned Paul Manafort and Charles Kushner, his son-in-law's dad. And then multiple other people convicted in the Russia investigation of crimes ranging from lying to Congress to tax evasion and other financial crimes. So people who were all convicted of financial crimes, he pardoned. It's so funny, the picture they have circulating of Paul Manafort and who's that other scumbag? What's the other scumbag's name? Oh, I can't remember his name. It's really bothered me. What is his name? There's someone else he pardoned. There's George Papadopoulos, Paul Manafort. There's someone else who pardoned today that I can't think of. Roger Stone, that scum-sucking piece of garbage. That's who it was. Yeah, that guy. He's intimidated witnesses. He's committed loads of financial crimes. Has lied to investigators. Yeah, man, if these were poor people that were behaving this way, they would throw the book at them. They would get life for all of these charges. But just because they're wealthy, they have the right connections, Trump is just going to give them a pardon. Because there's buddies. And this is America, and this is how stuff works. It's pretty disappointing. And then, of course, there's this new mutant strain of COVID-19 that's going around in Europe, and namely the UK. It's slowly becoming known as Plague Island. Sounds like a really shitty movie that someone is probably going to capitalize on. Do it. Plague Island 2020. So, yeah, they're not quite sure if these new vaccines that are being rolled out are going to be effective against this new strain. And apparently it's more contagious. So it's pretty frightening. If it's the same amount of lethality, people who are at risk are even more at risk. And that's only going to make the death toll rise. So be safe, be careful, wear your mask. Get vaccines if you can, if you have access. If your health, is in good enough standing to do it, you should do it. And something else I've seen floating around. Apparently with all these attacks on our embassy in Iraq, Trump has been using this as an opportunity to threaten Iran for it. He's even said that if there's any soldiers that are killed as a result of these rocket attacks on our embassies, he's going to hold Iran personally responsible for it, even though it's like a militia group doing it. How are you going to hold a third-party company responsible just because they happen to be Shiites? It's dumb. And on top of it, they think Trump is going to use this as an excuse to start a war with Iran, and then claim he can't leave office and let Joe Biden take office because he's in the midst of an emergency, which is an ongoing full-scale war with Iran. And with all his other rhetoric, And all these other actions we've taken against Iran, these assassinations, the general a year back. There's someone a little more recently we killed. Um, it's like we're looking for a reason to start a war with Iran. And I really think Trump is looking for any straw to not leave office. It's very worrying. These neo-Nazis and these right-wing Proud Boy types who are trying to keep him in office, he lost. It wasn't even that close. It was by like 8 million people. You guys fucking lost. Accept it. Move on. Ridiculous. This is a pretty funny story that I'd like to end on. It's concerning Maria Bartiromo, who was duped into an on-air interview with an animal rights activist. She was, the animal rights activist was posing as a CEO of a food processing company known as Smithfield for an entire segment on Wednesday morning. At the end of our daily mornings with Maria, the anchor issued a correction to the interview noting, "We have been punked." The segment was presented as an interview with Dennis Organ, the CEO of Smithfield Foods Incorporated, on providing vaccines for food workers amid an outbreak of coronavirus cases at one of the company's plants. Borderoma was actually speaking to Matt Johnson of Direct Action Everywhere, a grassroots animal rights group. The activist posing as a CEO carried out the interview in character while making some notable statements. At one point, he claimed that as CEO, the first change under my leadership is transparency and at times brutal honesty. The truth is that our industry, in addition to the outbreaks that are happening at our plants, our industry poses a serious threat in effectively bringing on the next pandemic, with CDC data showing that 3 of 4 infectious diseases come from animals, and the conditions inside of our farms can sometimes be petri dishes for new diseases, he said. Bartiromo appeared somewhat skeptical as the interview went on, even at one point rolling her eyes. She noted that Smithfield Foods is the largest pork producer. It was recently acquired by China, prompting an exchange about the company's international distribution. At the end of the show, Bartiromo delivered a correction. Per Bartiromo, we have an important correction to make. It appears we have been punked. Earlier in the program, I interviewed someone claiming to be the CEO of Smithfield, Dennis Organ. We've since learned that it was not Dennis Organ, but an imposter making false claims about the company. He is someone who has absolutely no relation to Smithfield Foods, and we want to apologize to Dennis Organ, Smithfield Foods, and to our audience for making this mistakes. We will, of course, be more vigilant. So, this animal rights activist got onto the show, tricked the producers into thinking he was someone else. It's Mr. Dennis Organ, who's a CEO. This guy's real name is Matt Johnson. Oh, my. Wow. So apparently he was making points about the company that they're saying is false. But 3 out of 4 infectious diseases come from animals from their farms. That's quite the accusation if that's true. That's weird that Bartiromo tried to pile onto him about being acquired by China and it wasn't even a guy from the company. They might get sued by Smithfield Foods. That's kind of funny. That's what you get for being idiots. You don't have any fact checkers over there? Or did you fire them all? Fucking idiots. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Hope you enjoyed some of the stories I brought up. And I do want to thank everyone for helping the channel grow. It's happening slowly but surely. Maybe once I get monetized, I can afford to get more extravagant kind of things to review. This is the Wyatt Ace. And while I'm sitting here dabbing, talking to you, one thing I do want to speak about is this whole Jimmy Dore situation. A lot of people like to pile on to Jimmy Dore. He seems to me to be a pretty honest guy. He's a bit of an asshole. He's a bit of a clown. But I like him. He reminds me of a rebel-rousing head of the mob type. He's like a comedic Robespierre.